So from the time I watched that show until I became an entrepreneur, and I bought my own school bus, and I renovated it, and I began hitting the streets and going to local preschools and daycares, and providing classes for kids on the bus. So again, I started with something that I knew nothing about, but I had a fire in my gut, and I said, this is going to work. And it did. I built a successful business here in my town that I ran for about 10 years. Now, those of you who have ran their own traditional business know that along with that comes a tremendous amount of stress. You know, everything was dependent on me, from website design to sales, marketing, you know, hiring employees, training, teaching. And, you know, my boys were still fairly young at the time and busy and involved in a lot of sports. And so I was kind of being pulled in two different directions, and developed a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety. And that is what led me to me commenting on Tara Wilson's live on Facebook. This was back in 2016 when lives became popular. And I had no idea at the time that if you click on somebody's live, your name pops up and they see that you're watching. So I was secretly watching what she was posting, but I was too proud to reach out to her and ask her what it was that she was doing. You know, what is this little yellow pill? But because my name popped up on her live, she messaged me privately, nothing about the business, nothing about the product, just, hey, Angie, great to see your name. I hope you enjoyed my live. And that was it. So that kind of opened the door, right? And I said, well, okay, what is this little yellow pill? And do you think it could help me with my pain? Because I had tried everything up until that point to alleviate my pain. Chiropractor every week, deep tissue massage, acupuncture, you name it, I tried it. And for 6 years, I felt like somebody was stabbing me in the back in between my shoulder blades. And I also suffered from migraine headaches. So she said, I can't guarantee anything, but why not give it a try? And so I did. So I tried the product and got about 3.5 months into it. My pain was gone and has not returned. So at that point, when I first started the product, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my husband because I didn't want to hear anything negative from him. I told my mom. That was the only person that I told that I was going to try these products. And so anyway, so I started talking to people, and you know, everybody I talked to were like, well, how do we get this? I want it. And so I'd send them to Tara. And she said, Angie, why don't you think about making this a business? And I said, a business? There's no way. I have no time. I have a successful business. You know, I have 2 kids that are, you know, keep what if I could do this? And so I did. And I told her yes. Don't know really, I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that if I could just fit it into chunks of my day, that maybe it would work. And gosh, about 9 months into it, I decided one day, I'll never forget the day, I was walking my dogs, listening to my first year in network marketing by Mark Yarnell, where he goes over the different kinds of jobs, white collar, blue collar, business owners, traditional business ownership, and network marketing. And just the light bulb went off, and I said, you know what, I'm going to throw all of myself into this because I think I can make it work. And I did. So I sold my business, jumped into this. My first commission check was $16. And I remember looking at my husband saying, I don't know if I made the right decision. What did I do? But I kept going. And, you know, me telling Tara no allowed me to create a business where I was creating relationships in my town. So when I decided to do this, I had 10 years of you know, friendships, and a lot of the families of the kids I taught that I still talk to and see on a regular basis. So I think I had that trust already established with my community. So when people, you know, ask me, how did you hit Pro 7 in 2 years? It wasn't 2 years that it took me to hit Pro 7. It was 12 years. It was 10 years of working my butt off, creating relationships with people and creating trust with people. So when people start, the new business and it doesn't happen for them right away, a year or, even 2 years, I have to remind them, you have to give this time. You're planting seeds. And so that's my story of how I came to the business. And, Julie asked me to talk a little bit about how I run my team, my organization, and give you guys some tips. So I would be happy to do that. Being that I was the first person in my town to start this business, I was kind of in no man's land. I started with, around my kitchen table, I think I had maybe 3 or 4 distributors, my first 3 or 4 distributors. And we would meet every week around my kitchen table and we would just practice. We would practice talking to each other about the products. I know some teams teach lead with the product, some teach lead with the business. In the very beginning, I was so green to network marketing and to the business that I was afraid of it. So I never talked about it. I only led with the product. Looking back now, I teach my team, don't do as I do, do as I say, and so I can teach my team the mistakes that I made, especially in that I led with NRF2 only because that's what I was comfortable with. And now I look back, had I led with the dual, or, back then we didn't even have the vitality stack, but, always start high and work your way down and fit, into that person's needs and budget. That's what I teach my team now, because I really feel like I pigeonholed myself a little bit, but, live and learn, didn't know what I was doing. So with me, my team, I really believe in building belly to belly. That's just what's comfortable for me. We meet once a month. My team has a morning coffee date, and once a month we have an evening coffee date. For those that don't live in my town, we do a Zoom every single month, just like you guys are doing now. We don't do weekly, we do monthly because I plug my team into other calls as well, our team training calls. There's so many great trainings and great calls out there, and I just encourage my team to stay plugged in. You have to do something every single day. And let's see here, what else was I going to talk about? My DMO, my daily method of operation. I try to stay consistent in doing the same types of things every day. Self-development, I still do daily. I could not live without the little, I always call them the wrong name and my boys yell at me, the earbuds, ear pods, whatever they're called. I have those in my ear as long as I'm not with my children or my husband, because when I'm with them, they get my undivided attention. But when I'm not with them and I'm walking my dogs, I'm getting a pedicure, I'm cooking dinner, I will have those in my ear and I will be listening to, one of the trainings from the week. I'll be listening to self-development. I usually have 2 or 3 different self-development books going on at once. I'm huge fan of Audible. I don't listen to music in my car anymore. I use that time to feed my knowledge and to feed my motivation and my desire to build this business and to keep going. So I think making good use of your time is very important. What else? Attraction marketing. I teach my team, in the very beginning, I probably didn't do it like I should have. I probably threw up all over my Facebook page, information about the products and the business. And in looking back now, again, I can teach my team, don't do as I do as I say, because now I know better and I can teach you better. And attraction marketing is huge. I spend about an hour in the morning on Facebook and about an hour in the evening, and I am very purposeful about my time on Facebook. I'm not just, aimlessly scrolling and reading jokes and, doing things that aren't building my business. I'm very purposeful about it. I'm joining Facebook groups. I'm looking for people who are complaining about, whether it be a health issue or a financial issue. I'm adding, I teach my team to do the 5-5-5. So every day I'm reaching out to 5 old customers who have fallen off, even if it's just a, hey, how you doing, thinking about you. I connect with 5 current customers and maybe talk to them about a new product that's out. I connect with 5 prospects, and again, I don't ever send anybody information or the link without them asking me about it, and I think that's very important. I'm only connecting with people to create conversation. And for me, Facebook Messenger has been instrumental in that. You know, people that jokes going around, why are you calling me, text me? Now I feel like, why are you texting me? Message me in Facebook Messenger, because at any given time I have 10 to 15 conversations going on, and I can sit there and I can communicate with 15 people at once. And not only that, but something with the algorithm, when you're communicating with somebody through Messenger, your posts are going to pop up in their feed. So, you know, I will send information to somebody that I've already been communicating with, like, hey, you know, I know we've been chatting, but, you know, I have something that I'd like to get your opinion on, and I'll send them biohackandactivate.com. But I never, ever spam anybody. I never, you know, I'm not going to reach out to somebody I went to high school with 25 years ago and just send them a link. That's just not how I do it, and that's not how I teach my team to do it. For me, being authentic is very, very important and very dear to my heart and my team's heart as well. What else? The code. We have a training called The Code that Stu and Carrie put together, which I plug my new distributors into. You know, when I started, I didn't have that. You know, when I started, I had to just figure it out. And so now I think a lot, and you guys probably can relate to this, some of my team members, they get a little bit overwhelmed by the calls and the training and all the information out there. But I see you guys, I had nothing when I started. I had ABC Yellow Pill, and that was it. So it was up to me to go and get on YouTube or Google oxidative stress and try to find, you know, studies and articles to send to people. So, I mean, it's such a gift what we have right now, and the timing, and just the excitement, the new marketing plan that they just rolled out today, I could not be more excited about. I mean, they are going to hand deliver us compliant posts and blogs and shareables. And, you know, for me, that means duplication, right? We're all doing the same thing. We're all rowing in the same direction, and that can only benefit our businesses and our company as a whole. What else? Events, extremely important. And I teach my team. When I started my small business prior, I had an overhead every month. No matter how much money I brought in, I was spending money every month on the things I needed to run my business. And I think the same goes for this. And in the beginning, when you're not making a lot of money, it's difficult to get to events. And I understand that, which is why I'm really excited for these regionals. And, you know, I tell my team, you have to get to a regional, number one. Number two, just look at it as an investment in yourself, an investment in your business. I'm going to Most Powerful Women in Network Marketing in Las Vegas in May. I just decided last week I'm going to go to Tony Robbins next week. He's going to be in San Jose, which is right near where I live. And I've always wanted to go to Tony. And so I said, you know what? I'm doing it, and I'm going. So I think just getting your team plugged into events is crucial. I teach my team to build from event to event as well. What else? I have a couple notes here. Hang on one second. I don't want to miss anything. So, you know, for me too, I feel like plugging into trainings and motivation, you know, do we all need it every single day? Probably not. But will it help keep our fire lit? Yes, it will. And I think Carrie and Stu, I don't know if you guys were on the call this morning, Carrie was talking about Zig Ziglar, who said that people often say that motivation doesn't last, right? But he says, well, neither do showers, but we do it every day. So make sure you just do something to motivate yourself every single day, and, you know, just keep going. And it's hard. You're going to hear no. And actually, the story of me saying no to Tara is in a book called Go for No for Network Marketing. So if you guys haven't read that, be sure to get that. And, you know, I told her no. Everybody in her immediate family either was in the business or told her no. And she went on to be who she is today, Tara Wilson. So it's pretty incredible that, you know, you don't have to let one no hold you down. You can keep going. So any questions for me, Julie? I'd love to answer some questions.
Thank you so much, Angie.
You're welcome.
Very inspiring story for sure, and some really great, valuable tips. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight, and
It's my
it's
pleasure.
an honor to meet you and just have you share with us tonight. So if someone has a question, type it in the chat box, and we have an expert here to answer your questions.
I wouldn't say expert. I'm still learning every day too. You guys do these calls weekly?
We do.
Nice.
Yep. Maybe Mark, our Pro 8 leader, has a comment or question. Mark, do you? I know he's
I've always got
I probably shouldn't have asked you when you just got back from that big trip.
Hi, Mark.
Hey, Angie, thank you so much for joining us. I am a little jet lagged. It's about 4 a.m. our bio time. We just got back from
Africa. Oh boy.
So
wow.
I'm delirious. I may ask you something completely irrelevant. I'm not going to do that. I'm always curious. Obviously, you've had a ton of success, and you were able to reach escape velocity in 3 years and hit the elite ranks. I'm always curious to know, you mentioned the code training. How do you launch a new distributor now with the tools that you're using?
Yeah, so I have a little sheet that we came up with, and the code is the first thing we ask them to do. We also ask them to read GoPro. And then we have, I have a Facebook group of all of my team, and we put in sample scripts in there for them to use. I hop on a Zoom with my new distributors, PM chat. Again, anytime we bring a new distributor into our organization, their enroller puts them on a PM chat with the nearest Pro 5 or above immediately. And we just make sure that they know. Number one, do not post on Facebook until you've finished the code training and until you've spoken with the leader. Because I think it's really, we've had so many people that get so excited and they go and they do this big post and then it's crickets. And what happens? They say, oh God, what did I do? Nobody's going to want this. And then they quit. So I think it's important to hold their hand for a few months, really make sure they're comfortable, and then, let them fly.
Yeah, well said. Debbie is asking about that particular aspect, the social media side. Can you talk a little bit more about about attraction marketing? Maybe some examples of what you're doing. And you mentioned the marketing playbook that we received today from corporate. Can you just talk a little bit more about that and how you've been using attraction marketing and how you planned on using these new assets that have just been? Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I sure can. For me, storytelling is what, I find something relevant that I think will speak to my audience. A great example is, we do a monthly large meeting here in my town where distributors and prospects come. And I had a distributor call me the day of a meeting and said, hey, I'm going to bring my mom's boyfriend. He's a 70-year-old Vietnam vet. Complete skeptic, will not listen to or read anything that I bring to him, but I begged him to come to the meeting and just sit in the chair. So this guy comes to the meeting and he sits like this the entire time with this look on his face, and so I told that story in a post, and I'm telling you, I think I got 3 or 4 distributors from that post, just people that have been watching me because it spoke to them, right? You just have to find something that's going to speak to somebody, whether it be, physical migraines, back pain, without saying that. Just tell stories and just attract people to you. Add friends every single day. I'm constantly adding friends and looking for people that are like-minded. I teach my team how to do a makeover on their Facebook and Instagram account, and what to have as far as pictures and their title. And so I'm pretty diligent about teaching them from the beginning the right way to set up their social media, because in this day and age, you can build this entire business on social media. You can. You don't have to do it belly to belly. I choose to do, I'm about 50-50. I like to get out in my community. Every Friday, you can find me at the same coffee shop, meeting back to back with people. And if I don't have people, I'll go sit by myself and I'll connect with people. I think working from home can get lonely sometimes. So I look forward to my Fridays at the coffee shop. And that's what this business is. It's just talking and creating relationships. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so much like uh, one of the analogies or metaphors I like to use is fishing. If you could throw a line in the water that would extend 3,000 miles, would you? I mean, that, right? So
Right.
why would you not use those tools if they're available to us? So if you perhaps you're joining us on the call tonight, you missed the announcement today from Jesse and Grace, our amazing corporate leaders, rolling out this new platform or this new library of assets. Check out your replicated website and actually do this. Go to the official LifeVantage distributor page and look for the recorded call that Jesse and Grace posted there today.
Yeah, it's
Great
pretty
rollout.
exciting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very exciting for anybody
Yeah.
using social media. And the great thing is it's all vetted content, right? It's all compliant. And for those that are dipping a toe in the social media world, this is a really safe way that that you can start to do that. I would encourage you though, until you really get a feel for what Angie's talking about and what some of our other social media gurus have done. Use the customer pages, use the product pages. Don't start using some of these assets on your wall until you're comfortable with how the attraction marketing model works, right? So all that to say, just be really careful before you start, I don't know, doing surgery with a machete.
Well, and my question too, Mark, and you might have the answer to this. I just briefly clicked on some of the blogs and some of the images, but I know they had mentioned not having LifeVantage on the shareables. Do you know anything about that? If they're gonna?
I don't. I know. I'm coming up to speed with a lot of the other leaders. We obviously have a lot of different streams going right now. I, for one, and some of the people on our team are going to St. George, Utah this weekend for the Building Depth event. I know Brandon and Lynette have just launched a brand new launch guide that's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Go to teamtrueblue.org for those of you that are looking for that. Look for the launch tab. At some point, we may ask Brandon and Lynette permission to borrow that and put it on our team pages. But all that to say, I'm sorry, I'm a little divergent right now.
Okay.
One of the things that they're doing is Monday is their marketing day, and they're selling nutrigenomics. They're not selling LifeVantage products, and they're being very careful to not mention LifeVantage by name in their posts. And I think that's a brilliant approach. And I would think that corporate is doing some things along those lines. I think we've got some bugs to iron out. When you're putting those shareables out for the world to see, like Protandem, I think, boy, that's really risky if you're doing that on your wall and you're not creating some sort of backstop to stay in control of your business, right? So
I agree. Yeah.
I don't know specifically, Angie, about the LifeVantage brand being front and center. I would think that they'll be a little bit reserved on that. But again, that reiterates your point or our point, to get some coaching on the social media stuff. If you've never done that, get with the person that enrolled you or get with your plugged in upline to kind of walk through why we don't put LifeVantage on our wall, why we're not putting our products front and center. Because people will just go and they'll Google it, and Lord knows what they're going to find on Google, right? So,
Angie, I remember on the Elite Zoom that somebody else brought that up. Could we have some shareables that don't have like product and company names on? So hopefully they are going to be coming out with some of those things. Yeah, because I know that's been my concern too.
Yeah, because I teach my team a certain way, and then it's like, it's all over. What do I do?
Yeah, I was thinking they would be actually good for our Facebook group, like our customer Facebook group.
Yes.
Shareables and that information would fit really well into that group.
Yes, and the blogs, especially the weekly blog. Yeah.
Those blogs are pretty awesome.
I want to mention real quick, one thing I did forget to mention. We do have an opportunity Facebook group that is focused on the opportunity that we add people in, and that's been hugely successful for me. We just started it right before Christmas time.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's been pretty amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Very good.
Yeah. I'll just comment on that as well, Angie. For us, it was a progression of, falling in love with the product as well. And then moving into, because we were getting a check and we saw the business and we started reading Mark Yarnell and Robert Kiyosaki and Eric Worre, we became familiar and eventually comfortable with the idea of sharing network marketing as a business. But I know that we've got some brand new folks on this call and some brand new folks that'll be watching this as well. And you may find yourself in a situation, the same situation. I would just encourage you to consider the fact that 85% of everyone who wakes up and goes to work tomorrow morning hates what they do every day for income. So yes, they absolutely need our products, but what if there was a side hustle? What if there was a way to create residual income that you could fall in love with, and you had that in your toolbox that you could offer people a different way to live, right? Based on these products. And that's what Angie's talking about. That's what Julie has experienced. That's what we experienced as well. Don't stop talking about the product. We're not saying that. But understand that the business is a way out of the matrix. Right? So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's our duty to share it with people and not prejudge anybody. Yeah.
Absolutely. One more question and then we'll let you go, Angie. But somebody is saying, how do you deal with compliance issues on social media, especially when sharing testimonials and stories?
Well, that's a great question. We just have to be very careful not to mention the name of a disease with protandem or the little yellow pill. And that's how I train my people, just to be very diligent about it.
The other thing is, I know most groups, we've all been encouraged by compliance to have people monitoring our groups. And so that's another safety net. And we have, people that we've invited into the group and, they're checking us out and making sure that we are being compliant just for the protection of the gift that we have.
Yep. And everybody's welcome to go follow me. All of my posts are public. You can get a good idea of the attraction marketing that I like to use. And I teach my people too. And that's another thing that, the whole, when you rip and repeat somebody's post, awesome. I encourage my team to do it, but I also encourage them to make it their own. Don't share it. Don't, copy and paste it verbatim. Make it your own.
Very good. So important. So important just to be that leader that people want to follow. So, well, you're definitely a great leader and you've given us a lot of value tonight, Angie. And so appreciate you sharing with us. So
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Angie.
Thanks, Mark. Take care.
And I want to thank everybody for being on our team Zoom. There's also a couple other announcements. And I think maybe, Mark, did you have something you wanted to say?
I did. I just want to remind everybody that we have LifeVantage Academy coming up in 2 weeks. Check your Big Blue calendar. And there's also a virtual version of the LVA this month. And they're doing a 2-step digital training as well. So check Building Depth on the Facebook groups or buildingdepth5by5.com for that information. Also, regionals are filling up, so make sure you're pre-registered for the regional event closest to you. In some case, you may have an hour difference one way or another. For instance, here in Kansas City, we've got 3 options, and Krista and I are still trying to work on dates. It looks like Minnesota may be the optimal one for us, but we could also do Indy, which is 8 hours, or we can do Denver, which is 9 hours from us. So we're still trying to nail that down. But if you've not yet registered for the regionals, please do that very, very soon. I think that's all I've got for tonight, Julie. Obviously, we need to unpack the marketing playbook that just came out. If that is compelling to you, if you're building your business through social media or digitally, go on over and click around over there. I have not gone to the site. I just watched the presentation with Jesse and Grace this afternoon. Looks awesome. And I know Renee is referencing the fact that they're using multiple versions of those shareables. So see which one is compelling to you. And then work on a story, as Angie suggested that we do. There's probably other stuff that we need to cover another night, but I'm aware that we're already 5 minutes over. So Julie, I'll let you close this out, girl.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Yeah. The monthly marketing playbook, you also got an email about it. So if you check in your email, you can click right on that and see a tutorial on it. And The other thing that can be really useful for that, because I know like we shared tonight, we don't really want to, be putting the product name and the company name on our wall, along with doing it in our customer Facebook group. We can also send it to people that are asking us questions in the private messenger. So that's another way to utilize that. And then the only other thing I would have is, the global convention. Don't forget to register for that, because the sooner you register, the more money you're going to save. And also, Angie mentioned the code training, and I encourage everyone, it's thecodetraining.com. It's incredible information. It's a great tool for duplication. So I would encourage people to go ahead and watch that training, and encourage your team to watch that training. So with that, that's all for now. We just want to thank everyone. Next week, we have Christy Spring sharing with us. And so I'm excited about that. And just want to say thanks so much for joining us tonight, and have a great rest of the week. And we love you all. And it's great to see you, Mark. Thanks for sharing tonight. So blessings to everyone. Bye for now.
Good night.